Hey guys, this is Kunal from TradingSim.com. I wanted to do a trade recap on a pretty good trade from earlier this week on FSLR, which is First Solar Inc. Big player in the solar industries, alongside of Solar City, which I'm sure you all are aware of. And there's a couple other names, but FSLR is one of the bigger names, as you can see here. On the daily chart, which you'll see on the right hand side here, we've been in a pretty strong downtrend since March, since it peaked in March at around 72. It's dropped significantly, almost 40% from that level. And so what had happened here? What had happened here on the 7th was on the morning of the 7th there was a downgrade of this stock. I think one of the analysts had mentioned that there was going to be earnings pressure, and so that had sent the stock gapping down in the morning. And let me just kick off the simulation here, or the market replay. Right, so you can kind of see it here. In the morning we gapped down still about 3.5%. So nothing crazy at this point in time. I think when you look at the daily chart, and I've drawn out some of these important levels, right? So this level right here, where you're going to see this was tested, supported many times, right here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times this level has been tested basically. 47 is going to be the number. So, we get this gap in the morning. We want to be very cautious and watch that level, because we really don't want to see it being taken out to the downside. You can look from the intraday chart from the 5th and the 6th. Those lows were supported pretty well there. I mean, those correspond to these bars here on the daily side. And so, so far so good, right? It looks, fairly bullish that it didn't take out those lows and that it's trying to bounce here in the morning. I'm not going to take this trade at this point in time, obviously. We're going to wait at least the first 15 to 20 minutes to see how this market plays out. And let me just fast forward this just a little bit. Okay, so it's about 9:35, so we're about 5 minutes into the session, and I think you can see here, right, this level is being taken out, and look at the daily chart, you can see the levels being taken out. Again, it's really early. The stock does look pretty oversold, so we're just going to be patient here. And so you can see, right, we've just crushed that level. On the daily chart, we've crushed it. And really what we've done now at this point in the first 10 minutes of the day is we've come back here and closed this gap at around 46.37 is that level. So we're pretty much eating right into that gap. So this should serve as a support area. Right, we wicked down here on this bar. We gapped above here, so there's a nice gap. So this range really that I have, these two lines, this level should hold on the daily charts. And so that's what we're going to be looking for. And if it does, great. There could be a reversal, and then we can look for a reversal above this 47.60 area for potentially taking a long. If it does not, we're going to look for a snapback that we can go short on, and ideally we're going to come back to this about 47.10ish, or we're going to let price catch up to the 9 EMA and see it fail at one of those two areas to signal a potential short. But right now you look at the RSI, pretty oversold. Again, this is what happens in the morning, so you got to be very careful. So I'm just going to keep forwarding through this a little bit, and you can see it just keeps moving a little bit lower. Very weak stock. This is telling that it's a fairly weak stock. It's not holding any support levels. There's no fight being put up, and so we want to keep an eye on that. Right. I mean, this one was, a little bit tough because you really can't chase this. I mean, it's just straight down, and from an extremely oversold level as well. You don't want to be chasing this thing. Let's just see how this thing goes. Okay, so what do we do here? We came right up to that 9 EMA and didn't like it, and so 4603, or sorry, 45. No, it is 4603. So that's the level we want to keep an eye on, and you can see in the next bar it took it out, and so this could be your signal for a short. You can see up here on this 5-minute chart here as well. This high about 4629. That was kind of your mini pivot before that breakdown. This is kind of a quick little bear flag right here. It is a small one, but nonetheless it is a bear flag. You have this big move down, you have like a 10-minute consolidation, and then boom, it goes lower again. What we did was, we shook out some of the weak shorts here, and they just popped it back to the 9 EMA. Didn't take out this previous level. See, that's what you're going to see on a lot of these trending stocks. They're not going to violate levels, and so they might get close, but they're not going to violate them. Once they start violating previous highs, if you're going short, the character of the stock is changing, and so you got to be careful of a trend reversal. But this is a good sign right here that this thing is failing. So this is where we would have gone short here, 4603. I didn't take this trade, unfortunately, but this was a pretty good trade. When I look back, I always come back to the simulator. I like to see markets moving really quickly. I don't catch all the trades during the day, and so I like to go back and kind of see what I missed and how I could have traded it. Just give me that extra practice and repetition, keep me sharp. So what I'm going to do, and the other thing to note here, and we mentioned it earlier, but this thing is extremely weak. It's not holding any levels. It's barely making a retracement off this low. The 9 EMA is holding the price, and that's what you want to see when you are looking for a trending stock. So at this point, right, I mean, this thing is getting taken to the woodshed. Our next zone of support is this low, this last previous swing low, 4370. Yeah, 4370 to the 44, 45. All these whole numbers are going to be important as well. So let's just see how they're holding through those. It's just nothing doing. This 9 EMA caught up here, held the price down again. We're trying to set up some divergence here in the RSI as the price moves lower. We'll see if that materializes. Price is always king. These indicators are lagging. They are based off price. That's why I don't really pay too much attention to the RSI. The only time I'm really looking at it is to understand if a stock is extremely overbought or oversold, and I'm trying to get clues in terms of, do I think the stock might be getting close to finishing, and so that's when I'll look at this divergence is forming. However, the price is king. You can see the 9 EMA is holding the price down, and there's just been no attempt to make any sort of rally outside of this feeble attempt right here. I mean, we're doing it again, right? So now what's happening, we're seeing this divergence here on the RSI. Apologize. Give me one sec. So we're seeing a divergence forming on the RSI, and we're seeing a base forming here of some sort. I mean, this is only about 35 minutes of action here, coming back into the 9 EMA. You know, I want to be careful here. I would definitely advise to take off half if this 44.86 gets taken out. I mean, you kind of want to, you know, if you look at that's actually a pretty good short-term level that could indicate there could be a spark. You know, we don't know what's going to happen. We're not fortune tellers here. Our game is to trade what we see, and so, you know, a lot of people are going to say, oh, it must come down to 43.70. Well, it doesn't really have to. And so, you know, if we're making money, our goal, our job is to take profits off the table. And so that level gets taken out, definitely going to cover some of this short position. So, you know, this is where it becomes a little bit tough. So it hit 44.87. It just ticked it over by a penny. You know, I don't put this is one of the reasons I don't put hard stops in the market. The market maker will go pick it off, and so you have to be looking at, you know, you want to be looking at the tape, right? You want to be looking at the time and sales. You want to be looking at level 1. You want to see how the price reacts at that level, and sometimes you got to give it a cent or two. I mean, you got to give it some room. When you're in the heat of the moment, you might make a snap judgment, but you know, there is an art form to this. It's not a true science. So, you know, this is actually a very bearish sign here, right? You get this little tick over, and then the stock tanks. And so, you know, now that we're taking out this level here, 44.55, or we tried to take it out, you know, we're gonna be looking for another leg down. You know, just looking at this chart though, this thing has gone down significantly. Doesn't mean it can't keep going all the way down to this low, but you got to expect some sort of snapback at some point. Let's just see if we get it. Right at this point, this range up here, this 44.86, 87 is really your stop. And now we're going to be careful here, right? We're getting to that 44 level. Right there, you know, I would have been out of my position. There was, you know, we have this divergence forming. It was a pretty good divergence. We had price continuing to tank all the way from the open. This thing's been diverging, and I think we finally broke out. Now again, did it really do anything beyond breaking the 9 EMA? No, not yet. We still have this level, and we still have this level. So there is a ways to go here, but this is definitely an indication of some sort of change in trend or character of the stock. It could go back and test those lows and even go back to this 43.70, but I gotta be out minimum half of my position here. You know, I'm looking at these support and resistance areas as well, and so I might, if this level, you know, this general zone doesn't hold, I'm out half at least. But if this general zone holds the price down, then I would probably leave the other half on, just given the nature of the trend today. Right, I mean, this is a classic example of why you cannot rely specifically on indicators to make your decisions. This thing's been diverging all day, and this price has been diving all day, and so you would have been hurt if you traded that RSI on its own. You know, there's nothing doing on this thing all day, straight down. You don't see this too often. right? We're basing here. We're getting to the end of the day. I'm gonna close the position out. I'm not holding it overnight, but I think you guys get the point of how we would have traded this gap down on basically on a ratings downgrade. It was important for us to, in that morning it was only down 3% at this point. We didn't really know what it was going. We had no idea that it was going to come all the way down here. So we don't want to be, again, you're not fortune tellers, right? You don't know that this is going to happen. You have to look at price and see how it's behaving. And when we broke this trend line right here, and we broke it with ease, that gave you a warning sign that something was not right with this stock. Our goal as traders is to get into the best risk-reward scenarios that we can possibly find. And so, this was a great one right here. Right, this was a swing. This was a little, bear flag high, and price came into the 9 EMA. You could have definitely taken the short. You could have tried to jump the gun when it hit the 9. I wouldn't have done that. I would have waited for this low at 46.03 to drop, and then you basically have 25-cent risk, 30-cent risk. So I hope you guys were able to see how we are looking to align our intraday trade against larger and more important support and resistance areas. It's very key to keep the bigger picture in mind, because you got to remember there's a lot of people that are experiencing pain at those levels, and so those can create bigger reactions on an intraday chart. Either when you break through those bigger support levels, or you go through larger resistance areas. And so I hope this video helped you guys out. Feel free to visit TradingSim.com. You can use this really cool simulation or market replay tool to basically replay over 2 years worth of historical markets. You can kind of see, we have a calendar. You can just go back and select any day going back into 2014, and you just hit play and you'll see all the hot movers of that day. You'll be able to create your custom watch lists and be able to stream that trading day tick by tick, just like you were trading it live. And so it's really great to help you get the repetitions in. It's really great to help you improve your money management skills, which is very important. If you have any questions about this video or the TradingSim market replay tool, send us an email at admin@tradingsim.com. Best wishes in your trading, and good luck. Thanks.